So, namaste everyone, and welcome to this special panel discussion, part of the 9th International Conference on Human Values in Higher Education, in consonance with the theme where we are looking forward to value based education for human society. I welcome you all for day one panel discussion. Today, our discussion is focused on need for addressing SDGs, that's the Sustainable Development Goal at the root. Whenever we talk of sustainability means utilizing the resources so that the future generations are also able to utilize them without any compromise. But when we look at the current consumption rates with respect to the resources are such that within our own lifetime, we are seeing so many things going at a verge of being finished. So, are we really understanding sustainability? Are we able to take that up? That's the point of discussion. So, let me give you the agenda for the day. We'll have introduction of our panelists, followed by the UHV point of view of the SDGs implementation, and then we'll have the panel discussion with various questions amongst our panelists, followed by the concluding remarks. So, to welcome all our panelists over here, starting with Dr. Gopal Babuji, with an 18 years of experience specializing in holistic development and value based education, working for sustainable technology, Gopalji is consistently working towards ensuring the integration of universal human values approach so that sustainability goals can be looked at the root. With this, I move on to introduce our another panelist, that's Dr. Tara Prasannaji, who is working at Shiksha Anusandhan University, and he has more than 14 years of teaching experience and is associated with UHV related activities since November 2020. Moving ahead, we have another panelist amongst us, Dr. Deepa Ji Nair, who is a university coordinator for UHV and has obtained her PhD in sustainable housing from Netherlands. She is also associated with UHV since 2018. Another panelist amongst us is Dr. Jyoti Kulshresht, an assistant professor in sociology and universal human values working at Sharda School of Business Studies, Sharda University, Agra, a dedicated educator and working towards ensuring promoting human values since 2015. Another panelist amongst us is Professor Archana Mirashiji, who has a background of physics and continuously working for sustainability. She is instrumental in inculcating green values amongst the students at the institute and is initiator and coordinator of Eco Club in her institute, conducting various activities and organizing related events. Recently, she organized one of the conferences on sustainability within her institute. Moving ahead, we have another panelist with us, Dr. Geeta Potarajuji, a PhD in management from Department of Business Management, Osmania University. Her specialization includes governance and public policy. She has been associated with a number of projects, number of assignments, which include national and international agencies, including Government of India, state governments, DFID, UNDP, World Bank, etc. So, with this, I welcome another panelist amongst us, Dr. Ishrat Meera Mirzana ji, who is a professor in mechanical engineering, has been holding various positions like director, secretary, project head, and involved in teaching learning process for more than 24 years. So, with all this, I welcome all our panelists. And to initiate the discussion, I would like to invite Dr. Gopal Babuji to put up the UHV perspective pertaining to the need for addressing the SDGs at the root. So, most welcome, Gopal Babuji, for the session. Would you like to share the PPT from your end? Namaste, Gopal Babuji.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I am sharing from my side.
Ji, sir. Most welcome, sir. I'll stop sharing from my end and we would like to hear from you the UHV perspective.
Is it visible, Vanchana ji?
Ji, Ji Gopal ji, it's visible.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Vanchana, for giving me an opportunity to put my perspective on this SDGs goal. So the topic is very, very relevant, that there is a need to address SDGs at the root. So you can see on this slide, it presents data and facts and efforts so far. And this slide shows that we have made many efforts till now, but we have achieved very marginal impact on the society. So data are written here. For example, by 2030, 590 million people may still live in extreme poverty. 1 out of 5 children will be affected this hunger, etc. So there are many efforts. For example, CO2 emissions. This intensity fell by 11%. Similarly, global unemployment hit a historic low of 5% in 2023. So we can see that we have made wholeheartedly efforts with good intention, but still we are not able to reach the desired result. So there is a need to address SDGs at the root level. Now these data shows that we have made a lot of efforts, but they have had very marginal impacts. In fact, predicament, because all these goals are filled with inherent dilemmas, inherent contradictions. So for example, if we are trying to remove poverty with the help of
I think there is some network issue at Gopalji's end. Probably he's trying to address. We can't
am
hear
I
you.
audible?
Ji
Am I
Gopalji, welcome back. Welcome back. You are audible.
oh,
Ji,
just a
please share
minute.
your screen.
Okay. So I was talking about the some contradictory approaches in today's these SDGs goals. So for example, one side we are talking about GDP development. Another side, we are talking about sustainable consumption. So if I am following consumption sustainably, then how can I participate in GDP? So all these goals are filled with inherent contradiction, inherent dilemmas. And in fact, the whole humanity today seems to be gripped with the following predicament. If we discard this present model of development, how else do we live? And if we continue it, shall we at all live? So we are with dilemmas like this. So what is the way to come out of it? So fundamentally, we can see that every one of us, each one of us, aspire for happiness, prosperity, and its continuity. So basically, we all are looking for our happiness, prosperity, and its continuity. And these are our basic aspirations of every human being. And in fact, fundamentally, we want sustainability of happiness and prosperity for ourselves and for next generations. Now, it is important to understand that have we understood the real meaning of happiness? Because we want sustainability of happiness fundamentally. Have we understood the meaning of prosperity at fundamental level? What preparation is required in everyone to live a sustainable life? All these issues are to be addressed, needs to be addressed to achieve these sustainable development goals. So if you see what preparation is required to live sustainably, so 3 things are required. First is right understanding in the self. So we need to understand harmony in human being, family, society, nature to existence. So once I am able to understand this harmony in myself, then I can ensure my continuity of happiness. Then with this understanding, I am able to see relationship with others. And if we are not working on relationship, can we sustain in this society? So another important aspect is relationship. So with the understanding of harmony at all these levels, I am able to see relationship with every human being, and it ensures mutual happiness with interaction. Because we are not able to ensure mutual happiness, that's why we are trying to work on some SDGs goals, like inequality. This is the absence of the understanding of relationship with others. Similarly, with the feeling of this relationship, I will be able to identify my needs. And it is very important. If I am not able to see my needs, how can I use resources to ensure next generation's need? So clarity of need is also required. So what is required for to live sustainably? Number one, right understanding in the self, relationship with others, and clarity of physical needs. In this manner, we will be able to ensure mutual happiness, mutual prosperity in a natural manner. And once we work on these three aspects through education in everyone, then its societal implications will be undivided society and universal human order. So with this right understanding in the self, one will be able to ensure justice in relationship. And once I am understanding this harmony from individual to existence, then its outcome will be to ensure justice from family to world family order. And it will ensure undivided society. Similarly, with this understanding, I will be able to participate in larger order, and it will ensure universal human order. So ultimately, undivided society and universal human order, that is what we are looking at. So if we are able to ensure this right understanding, justice in relationship, participation in larger order in each individual, then sustainable life will be a natural outcome of this understanding. With this, we can say that in this development, what is the prevalent notion of this development? It is mainly based on physical facility. It is mainly based on materialistic perspective. And if we are living with only materialistic perspective, then there are two fundamental issues. Number one, with this materialistic perspective, we have assumed human happiness in terms of consumerism and maximization of sensory pleasures, which is giving rise to unlimited material needs. So because of this materialistic perspective, we are not able to clear about happiness. Therefore, it is impossible to fulfill everyone's need within the limited resources of our planet if we are moving through this materialistic perspective. Similarly, due to this materialistic perspective, somehow we are treating nature as a resource which could be exploited by human beings to any extent, thus violating inherent interconnectedness, coexistence, and dynamic balance existing in nature. So it all happening due to lack of holistic perspective. And somehow this modern development is governed by this materialistic perspective. And due to this materialistic perspective, we have unsustainable lifestyle. And due to this unsustainable lifestyle, we are facing problems like poverty, hunger, gender inequality, life on land, life below water, etc. So the prevalent problem will naturally be solved once we have holistic worldview. So this need to be ensured in everyone at fundamental level. Then we will be able to ensure the continuity of happiness and prosperity for ourselves and for next generations also. So this is what from my side as a UHP perspective on SDGs. Thank you, Vanchana ji. Thank you very much.
Ji. Thank you, Gopal Babuji, for introducing the UHV perspective and a holistic vision approach for all of us. You talked about ensuring right understanding. You talked about understanding of relationships, justice in relationship, and you tried to look at the current issues which are not ensuring fulfillment of SDGs, like extreme consumerism, maximization of sensory pleasures, and not looking at the dynamic balance in the nature. So, with all this discussion, now I would like to open the forum for discussion. And I would like to welcome once again all our panelists. They have got some idea about the UHV perspective, and with that, we would like to put forth these questions. So, I would be putting these questions to our panelists for them to reflect on, to respond to. So, let me first welcome our panelist, Dr. Archana Mirashi ji. So, welcome, Archana ji. So, what is your take on the question that are we actually addressing SDGs at the root? Would you like to reflect on this?
Yes, Didi. Thank you, Didi, for inviting me here for as a panelist. And so, when we talk about addressing the SDGs at the root, I would really say that the SDGs are not at all addressed at the root. Rather, we are addressing the SDGs at a very surface level, superficial level. The very definition of the development itself has been going wrong. Mainly, we talk about the development in terms of economic growth and the materialistic development in a way, like Gopal Babu was saying. It's about more of the materialistic needs we are addressing to, and then that is causing so many problems. So although SDGs are actually addressing the humankind so that it will be beneficial to the humankind, so very purpose of SDG is definitely noble and good. Yet, for addressing the SDGs, not the society is not working at the root level. That's what we can understand. Not only about the society, at the governance level and everywhere, there is a large gap. So definitely we need to work on it. And as Gopalji had mentioned the UHV perspective, so I would really say that addressing the SDGs at the root level means going by the universal human values perspective. And I'm sure, because if we are going by UHV approach, then we would be able to understand real meaning of development, which will be more of a holistic development. And then we will everybody will have a right understanding. People will have a right understanding if they are able to understand the values which we are talking about in UHV. And then because of that, there will be a proper development which is not happening as of now. So that gap will be definitely it will help to reduce the gap. Of course, it won't happen in a day or two, but it will take time. But I'm sure that it will be there. But right now, definitely, I would say that addressing the SDGs are not being addressed at the root. Yeah, that is what is my perspective, Didi. Thank
Ji, your points are well taken that there it needs to be much more has to be done. And in this, continuing with the same discussion, let me invite Supraja ji to put forth her reflections regarding are we addressing the SDGs at the root?
Thank you, Dr. Vanchana ji. If you are asking me if you ask me if you are addressing this SDGs at the root level, to answer that it's not happening. It is too important to look at how we are tackling this fundamental issues behind these goals. Many of these initiatives of this SDG are focused only on the surface level solutions. But to make a real difference, we need to understand the root level problems, like why this poverty, why this inequality, why this environment is getting degraded. So, what is the base behind all these problems? For example, instead of just providing the food aids to the people who are in the poverty, we should be also focusing on how to why this problem of food aid, and how to improve this agriculture practice and access the market for the farmers, and uh, what is a food security for everyone in the most sustainable way. So that can be a major thing we need to be focused on. And ultimately, what I think, this currently we are doing this isolation effort for the temporary benefit, but without addressing the interconnection between these goals, we are unlike to attain the sustainable development by interrelating and recognizing this interconnectedness. I think we can able to address these SDGs and able to achieve the goals. So this is from my perception. Thank you, Dr. Vanchana ji.
Ji, so nice to hear from you. You are again reiterating the fact that in order to address the SDGs at the root, we need to have a holistic perspective. In this continuation, maybe we can hear from Dr. Geeta Putraju ji also. So, Geeta ji, would you like to share your viewpoint regarding are we addressing SDGs at the root?
Thank you, Dr. Vanchana ji. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Um, I would like to put forth my view. What I'm thinking is, after listening to Dr. Gopal Babuji about the holistic picture of UHV, what I feel is we have kind of penetrated very much into the education system, and we are more than 90,000 faculty are ready to understand this. So one part we have kind of reached to a very large extent. But I feel there are three main important elements. There is one government, there's one business, and there is one civil society. So for reaching SDG goals, because we are saying people have to understand, they have to understand what is the base and analyze poverty. They have to understand what is the problem, why education is not accessible, health is not accessible. And these are the areas which are in the pockets of the people working in the government. So I think we need to also move into this sector and sensitize these people, because still this government, the representatives of the government, the people who are working hands-on to ensure SDG goals are reached. So we need to kind of share this content with them so that they will be able to understand, and then from there, I think it has to somehow penetrate into the policy making process. Very important. That's my view, Vanchana ji. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
So nice to get your viewpoint that we need to work collaterally at all possible levels, including the government, the policy making, and everyone. So very nice to hear that from you, and we'll continue our discussion. So putting forth our discussion further, let me put it forth to Vijay ji. So Vijay ji, do you think that the current educational systems adequately prepare the future generations to address the SDG channels, or you find that there is a disconnect between the educational priorities and the sustainable goals? Would you like to reflect on this?
Yes, Didi. Actually, in the current education system, we are more focusing towards the technical education, and I feel that we are not concentrating much more about all these sustainable goals. Though we in many educational institutions we talk about the sustainable development goals, but we are not practicing it. So the quality education what we give can be improved in the current generation, so that we can go with the sustainable development goals. That is one thing. And one more thing is what I would like to pinpoint here is if we come to know what to produce in the society, like when we are practicing, as Gopal Bhaiya said, we are focusing towards the materialistic world. So if that can be reduced with the education what we give, it might somewhat come to a reduction, and we can concentrate more on the sustainable development goals. That is what I would like to say here.
So nice to hear your viewpoint. Extreme consumerism needs to be curtailed. That is what you're putting forth. Education system, instead of only oriented towards skills, should be more holistic. We'll continue our discussion with Dr. Gopal Babuji putting forth his perspective. So, Gopalji, does the current educational system adequately prepares the future generation? Would you like to reflect on this?
Yes, Vanchana ji. So what I think is that current education system is preparing a student to increase GDP, not to live in a sustainable manner. So I'm also teaching in an engineering college, and I am also teaching since last 18 years. And I am able to see changes in the students over the time. If I compare the present student than the earlier students, it is clearly visible that new students are being prepared to consume more and more. Our government policies, our policies of advertisement, policies of businessmen, they are all influencing our students to consume more and more. They are all washing their mind to be happy from sensual pleasures. Even there is a problem of ethical issues which are increasing day by day in these institutions. So what I think is a disconnect between educational priorities and sustainability goals. Somehow, to prepare students to earn more money and to more consumerism has become the priority of the institutions. And it is because of, and it is happening globally, not in one country or another country, it is happening globally. So it is again a contradictory view. So if GDP is at the center, then how can prepare our student to live in a sustainable manner? So it is again a contradictory things. So I think there is a need to change the objective of whole education system. An objective of education system should be to prepare our students as a natural agent for sustainable development. Thank you, Vanchana.
Your points are very well taken, Gopal Babuji. You talked about generational shift in the behavior of student mindset, where the focus is entirely on more and more of consumption. There are ethical issues, more money, and it is not just happening at the local level, but at the global scenario. The entire focus is on GDP, and the educational systems currently are not able to address it. So you are strongly putting forth that there is a strong disconnect between the educational priorities and sustainability goal. We carry forward our discussion further to Dr. Jyoti Kulshrestha ji. So, what do you find in the current educational systems? Are we actually preparing the future generations to address the SDG challenges? Namaste,
What I
Jyoti
feel,
ji.
what I feel in the present education system, there is a
Jyoti ji,
big
your
gap.
voice is very low. Can you please make it a bit loud?
Now is it okay?
Better. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Please go ahead.
So,
Better.
ma'am, what I feel, thank you, ma'am. What I feel in the present education system, there is a big gap between the sustainable goals and the achievement of these goals. Because right now we are working on the students like to promote the materialism. Working students are taking branches and taking their streams on the basis of placements and package, and aspirations of the students are also not well defined. So they are working either on the bookish knowledge or on the skills only. Our marking system and exam system is also questionable, where we are working only for the like making a machine of the student. So these are some big issues we have to address in the present education system, because what are the SDGs? So many of us as well are aware about what is the meaning of good health, what development, what type of development we needed, what type, how much infra we needed. For example, right now I can observe in my institution that installing of the ACs is going on, and that was a very eco-friendly building um, manufactured established before, I think 25 years before, and very good building. There was no need of the ACs in that. So we have to think that why we are working and why we are becoming a like a system is doing that. Every student is wanting AC these days. Every college is providing AC these days. So we are in influence. So we are working to increase the number of hospitals and
to ensure the good health. And now we are making the prisons 5 stars and hotels 5 stars, where frozen food and good punishments can be given. Various types of tests can be done. So we are talking no hunger, then we should work on the weight of the food. For quality education, work should be done on the curriculum with self-development, not for the good infra and AC and all these facilities. So what I feel if there is a big gap, and we should very first define the goals, why we have to study and what we have to study and what type of education should be given. Like in the Rishi Parampara, students make their food themselves, teacher helps them. Teacher also was a part of the whole organizing system, and student was also the part of the whole organizing system. Now everyone wants all the facilities should be gained, and we don't want to work. So this gap should be reduced, and definitely we as a teacher we would work on this, and the whole system and the SDG should be prioritized on the basis of this type of insight. Thank you.
Ji. Nice to hear from you, Jyoti ji, regarding this approach, something which we had in our traditional systems, which is currently entirely missing, and there is all materialistic approach that we see. So you're trying to highlight the Gurukul Parampara, the rishis taking up the educational system. So you are also focusing on the fact that the current educational system needs to be overhauled so that we actually prepare future generations to address these challenges at the root. Moving ahead further, carrying forward this discussion, which is taking meaningful inputs from you all, what are the potential risks or the drawbacks? Let me invite uh, Archana Mirashidi regarding this particular point of view, that what are the drawbacks when we are not addressing SDGs at the root level? What do you find?
Yeah, Didi. So, like whatever is happening now, that is reflecting, or that's clearly a reflection of what are the risks which we will be actually suffering, or which will be going for, and whatever are the drawbacks of if the SDGs are not addressed. That also we are able to see today. Majorly, the climate changes, the environmental impacts, negative impacts, and of course in the society also the things are not in harmony. That's what we can see. There is a inequality, disparity in the society in terms of the richness, and poverty is of course there. Then the it's all not really much in harmony. That is what we are actually looking for. Everybody looks for such kind of, I mean, that's what everybody is looking forward to, that they want to have a peaceful and harmonious life. That's what anybody would say if asked. So that's not happening, and that's basically the problem which we are able to see, because we are not addressing the SDGs at the root level. And the risks are mainly about the climate impacts, and then it is actually very dreadful in the sense that it might so happen because of this, that there could be an extinction possible because of such kind of approach which we are having, which is troubling the environment in a very I mean, it's really not I'm not able to express. In fact, it's so difficult these days.
Ji. Very
Yeah.
nice, Archana ji. You are raising concerns that the current approach is not helping any one of us. We see extreme climate changes, we see extreme social divide. There is no harmony at any level of our being. So, you are trying to highlight all these risks when we are not addressing SDGs at a root. Moving ahead, taking view from other panelists also. So, maybe if we hear from Dr. Gopal Babuji, so would you like to reflect on this? What are the potential risks for not addressing the SDGs at the root?
Right. So if we are not addressing the SDGs at the root, we can see long-term issues in the coming generations. So, for example, if we are not addressing this poverty at fundamental level, then there will be an increasing gap between those who have and those who don't have. So basically, if we are trying to address this poverty through materialistic uh, concerns only, then this gap between poor and rich will never uh, go down. It will increase day by day. In fact, it may create a war at the level of countries if we are only looking from materialistic perspective. It will create a social struggle. It will create conflicts in societies if we are not addressing this issue of poverty, happiness through holistic development. Similarly, technology. If we are not understanding the problem at root level, so many countries are trying to solve the problem of resources through technologies. One side, they are preparing efficient technology so that with minimum resources, we can produce more. But another side, due to greed in our consciousness, we are taking as to increase our business more and more. So ultimately, we are exploiting the resources. Even we have efficient technology, but due to our greed, we are using this technology to produce more and more. And once we are producing more and more, then we will influence people to consume more and more. So in long term, there will be a large gap, social conflicts, domination, war in the society. So that's why it is required to address SDGs at the root level. Similarly, quality education. If we are not addressing this holistic worldview in our education system, and we are spreading education of earning more and more, then in coming generations, there will be a fight to regarding this materialistic facilities. So that's why there is a need to address SDGs at the root level. Otherwise, we will be having that kind of society that we cannot imagine this time. A full of struggle, a full of domination, a full of wars. So that's why I can visualize the drawbacks of not addressing SDGs at the root. Yes, Vanchana.
We could gather all the concerns that you're putting. You're focusing on various long term issues like the first SDG, that is, no poverty, cannot be addressed unless dealt at the fundamental level. There is a situation which is going to become as grim as war with this materialistic perspective. The advancement in technology without the right understanding will end up with more and more greed. Similarly, regarding quality education, so all the concerns that you are raising are very, very valid. And in this, we'll like to continue further with Suprajaji. So, Suprajaji, would you like to further add on as to how addressing the SDGs at the root can lead to long term sustainability and resilience? Would you like to reflect on this?
Thank you, Vanchanadi, for giving me the opportunity. As we heard from Gopalji, we could able to see that potential risk is happening right now. In spite of we have developed a lot of educational institutions or growing up, still, if you see that the problems with every individual, it is quite increasing day by day with the stress level, in the level of their health. And if you see it in in the family level, there is a lot of interrelationship problems are day on day it's rising. As well as in the society, there is a fear in a society. And if you could see that in the natural level, there is a resource depletions are happening. So when we address this root cause, when you see this root cause of this sustainable development for the long time, by for the contribution of the society, we could see some this main systematic change needs to be done by tackling this underlying issues that leading to these problems that needs to be focused, like why this poverty, why this inequality, why this environmental degradation, why where we need to create a systematic change. So this temporary fixes are not going to work out, rather than if you are not touching into the foundational changes that leads to the long lasting improvement in the society as well as in the environment. And when we talk about this holistic approach which we are looking into, we can able to recognize this interconnectedness of these SDGs. All these SDGs are interlinked, so we can able to create a solution that benefit this multiple goals simultaneously. Say for example, by improving the health quality education, that can leads to the better understanding in every children, as well as to develop a better health with. So a lot of interlink between these SDG goals that needs to be addressed so that we can create a more resilient society. So this is my viewpoint, Vanchnadi.
So your points are well taken. We want to focus on holistic approach so that one can work collectively instead of looking for piecemeal kind of approaches where one SDG is treated to be separate from the other. You're proposing to collect them together and look out for the solutions which will be more holistic, which will be solution centric. So really nice to hear that from you. Let's hear from Dr. Jyoti ji. Namaste, Jyoti ji. Would you like to once again put forth your perspective regarding how addressing the SDGs at the root can contribute to long term sustainability and resilience? I think probably, Jyoti ji, are we able to connect to you?
Am I audible?
Ji, Jyoti ji, your voice is very feeble.
Okay. I think that Bluetooth.
Your voice
Is
is
it
very.
okay now?
Ji, perfect. Please go ahead.
So, what I feel before giving the comments on that, I should mention some data provided by the Sustainable Development Progress Report 2024 mentioned that about 23 million more people living in extreme poverty right now, and to 123 million more people are suffering from hunger in 2022 as compared to 19, and only 58% of students are primary students are able to read. And in the area of climate and biodiversity also, despite the reduction in greenhouse gases emission in developed countries, greenhouse concentration hit record heights in 2022. So these data shows that what are the effect of SDG. So basically, when we are working on these types of goals, we should be very clear about, like, uh, uh, after setting all these types of goals, exploitation, domination, terrorism, war, and fearlessness, and learn to live with environment are not very well understood by the people. And the rules like quality education and gender, all these are also not long term. For example, in Government of India, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao movement is going on to attain the SDG 5 goal. But number of cases against women is increasing. But that the concept of equality is not clear to the common people. Similarly, the Pradhan Mantri Jan Ujjwala Yojana related to the SDG 7, affordable energy, is also working very fastly, but we are not able to gain some significant type of result. So before going to these types of plannings and yojnas, we have to work on the basic cause. For example, if we want the equality, then we should train both boys and girls for the equality. In the present system, what is happening? We are again we are working on sustainability, but what what thing will be sustainable? That idea would be always sustainable, instead of making so many yojnas, so many plannings.
we have to work on the basic idea and the public etiquettes especially. So, as the my co-panelist said, ki yes, there should be a quality education, and what I feel for the long term results, we have to focus on the education to find out the specific goals and to fulfill and to achieve the goals like no hunger, poverty, and quality education, and save water and save land and save environment. All the slogans are we are following all the slogans, but we are not working basically on our behavioral part. So behavioral part is very important for the long term development, long term achievements of the goals instead of planning. Although planning is must, but before planning, we should work on the behavioral part also.
जी,
That's what I feel.
जी. So, all your points are well taken. And to continue further with the discussion, let me invite Geeta Potraju ji. So, Geeta ji, what do you think? What role does education and awareness play in fostering a global culture that supports sustainable development? And just now, Jyoti ji also mentioned the role of education. So, how would you like to respond to this?
Vanchana ji, I think we are already seeing the benefits of uh, discussing the holistic approach in education, because many of the institutions which have already started adopting the content from human values in education, we are seeing, though it is not very obviously uh, changing the scenario, but at least it has found ground. But as Gopal Babu Bhaiya just now said, Gopalji just now said, that the current generation, it seems to be quite a Herculean task to make them understand these things. And then there is definitely going to be, and this is directly connected with global culture, because children sitting in India want to follow what children are doing in the US or any other part of the world, because now it's a global village. So we ourselves changing, um, because we can see the constant desire for the child to connect globally is so high. And this kind of a conversation um, is not happening there. The values are so different. So I think this international conference is a very good opportunity, and to kind of share with in the global platform, because there are everybody is concerned about the younger generation going haywire and wanting some way to get things back to track. So this the role of education and bringing awareness and fostering global culture, I think this is the only way to uh, go forward, because everything is global now. You can't be sitting in India and wanting that we have changed our things, so things are changed. It's not going to happen. Somebody from outside will infiltrate into your mind and then change that. So everybody has to change. Like in COVID, if my neighbor gets the affected, so I get affected. So that's how closely knit we are now. So changing the global culture through education is definitely the only way out, according to me, Vanchana ji. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Nice that you could put forth the importance of education and awareness. And maybe if Archana ji would like to put forth uh, your reflection regarding how education and awareness plays in fostering global culture that supports sustainable development. Ji Archana ji.
Yes, Didi. So actually, when we are able to inculcate some values which will foster the global culture and which supports further the sustainable development, and in that all the education and awareness definitely plays a very very important role. So if we are able to educate the students, educate the masses in such a way that they are able to understand what is the right meaning of development, what is the right understanding. If we go by the value education, so the definition of the development, if rather if it is redefined, then that will make sense. And so such kind of education needs to be done. And as we are able to say, see, like already Geeta Didi has mentioned, that when this kind of value education has been taken to various institutes in India, definitely there are changes happening, and people are actually are able to remove the kind of mind. I mean, their mindsets are changing in such a way that they are able to see the things in a holistic manner. I mean, at least there are attempts to do that. And otherwise, people were more family oriented. They were more like community wise and things like that. So now people, I mean, the people who are getting the value education done, so they are able to see it with a holistic perspective the thing, and that will definitely support the sustainable development. That is what is my perspective. Yeah, and it's not really happening very quickly. It will take time. But yes, the education and awareness is really very important in all the respects. So as it has been carried out in various ways, educating the people, as in various institutes we have those value education things going on. So one day it will be really taken to all the masses all over the world. That is what is my opinion.
Ji, nice to hear from you. And maybe in the end, we would like to hear once again from Dr. Gopal Babuji regarding what role does education and awareness plays. Ji Gopal Babuji, please.
Yes. So what I think is education and education systems can play a very important role to foster a global culture that can support sustainable development. So what I can visualize a education institute as a center of society. So if one education institute is aware of this sustainability, aware of this holistic worldview, so it can ensure this holistic worldview in lakhs of students. And these students are ultimately going in the society. They are going to be a future leader. They are going to be a leader of their family. They are going to be leader of the societies. So if education systems get aware about this holistic worldview and they commit to have such an education that spread this holistic worldview, then we can achieve this global culture of sustainable development. In addition to this holistic worldview, there could be many responsibilities that can be accepted through these educational systems. For example, our education institute can adopt nearby villages. They can promote healthy lifestyle. They can promote sustainable lifestyle. They can invent need-based technologies, and they can install these technologies in nearby areas. These students can act as a investigator that can investigate whether the nearby industries are following sustainable uh, parameters or not. They can investigate nearby institutions. Are they following SDG goals or not? So what I think is education system, institutes, and holistic education can create a global culture. Through that, we can fulfill these SDGs in very soon. So this is my view about this, Vanchana ji.
Ji, very nice. Together, we had a very dynamic kind of a discussion where we could stress on the need to addressing SDGs at the root. We'll have more detailed concluding remarks in our day 2 session. For today, what we could see is that it is important to look at SDGs with a holistic perspective through right understanding at the level of every individual, through ensuring understanding of relationships. We can ensure justice in relationship. We can work on making a shift from the materialistic kind of perspective to a holistic kind of a perspective where these SDGs through the process of education can be addressed. So building living models in our own institutions can be a process that can be initiated. So with all this, I would like to thank all our panelists who have been able to put forth their meaningful discussions to highlight these important points. And we will continue our discussion for day 2 session with concluding remarks of today being discussed at the very beginning of day 2 session. So with this, I would like to thank to all our panelists for their views, their perspectives, and ensuring that we all can work forward towards achievement of these SDGs in a holistic way. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Namaste.
you very much. Vanchana. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vanchana ji. Thank you, everyone.
Ji Bhaiya, we'll hold it now and we'll reconnect after this half an hour break. So I request all our panelists to be there after this half an hour break. We'll join back sharp at 8:30. Namaste, everyone.
We'll quickly go and do some eating and cooking, change our roles.
Surely. Bhaiya, you are muted. Gopal Bhaiya, you are muted.
We are live on YouTube,
Ji.
Oh,
so we can end this meeting. All right. So, should I end this? BN
Ji,
Pandey is there or not?
You are host, I think.
Okay.
Pandey
So,
ji, host. Ji.
Yeah, I
Okay,
am
so
host, but we will wait for that, or we have to just end this session and then again we have to start at 8:30 because
We
there
will
is another session from 8:30 to 9:30
Ji.
or not.
Yes, yes, there is.
we have next session from 8:30. So till then, we need to log in or we can log out from here.
We can log out, Bhaiya. We can start again.
Okay.
Okay, we will. Thank you.